because the numbers that are provided to us make this a slam dunk at blank decision. And the fact that they haven't done it means that they value something that we can't see. What is it?
Yeah, no, that's fair. And, maybe it's some of it being him headstrong and he doesn't want to make that change.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
And I'm Ulises Sambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a die-hard fan who vividly remembers Longo's game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs or Carl Crawford,
we are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
And every season they've gone to the playoffs and hopefully again in 2024. So grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase Locked On MLB for a first deposit match of up to $100.
All right, on today's episode, we'll recap what transpired in the All-Star Game. We also have a couple of mailbag questions from our listeners out there, one related to Taylor Walls and his switch hitting maybe incompetence there, as well as who will be the next Rays player to get shipped either via trade or DFA. So with that, Ulises, let's get into the action. Were you like a kid on Christmas waiting, hankering for the All-Star Game to begin? Besides the excitement of seeing if the national anthem or Star Spangled Banner would be screwed up, were you looking forward to this year's edition of the All-Star Game, 94th year, with just one Rays player, Isaac Paredes, who got just a tad bit of action?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been more excited about it before in years prior. I think the fact the Rays haven't had a great season kind of doesn't help juice up the enthusiasm for the All-Star Game. I think that is also tied. I don't think the Colorado Rockies fandom was dying to see the All-Star Game. And I'm not comparing the Rays to the Rockies, but you guys kind of get my point. Like, there's the better you're doing in the season, I think the most jacked up you are about the All-Star Game. And when you only have one dude, he's not a starter, and you know that he deserved to be there, but it's also like he was very obvious the guy who deserved to go if you had to pick one guy from the Rays. So then it just didn't feel the same.
It did not feel the same as previous years, or like last year when you had 3-4 Rays representatives. And it almost feels like, I'm with you, any fan of a team that only has one All-Star representative, that usually means that your season isn't going too hot. Unlike the Orioles or the freaking Phillies, who had 8 players. I know not all of them went and participated, but Phillies had 8 nominations, and the Guardians and some of these other teams that had 3, 4, 5. Like, we're in the camp of the Athletics, where you get one guy, Mason Miller. That's that's your token player that gets participate.
But even then, Mason Miller is
gets mic'd up. He gets the spotlight. Where Isaac Paredes playing third base, getting one 5-3 play, and then one at bat. It's a footnote in the overall trajectory.
And I think the one at bat was one pitch too. So it was, again, like
quick exit.
Yeah, quick exit. I feel it felt different. I do want to say, let's get the obvious observations out of the way of the All-Star Game. Number one, Paul Skeens is ridiculous. Number two.
Well, I was more focused on Livy Dunn, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, Paul Skeens By the time it's said and done, he may not participate in all these All-Star games. He may not be like Freddie Freeman where he's going and really jiving it up there. But I think we look back 15, 20 years from now, we're going to say this guy made 10 All-Stars at least. Like he is the real deal. He is the next. He is going to win multiple Cy Youngs.
You know who he reminded me of who I also like got to know for the first time in an All-Star game. That's why the All-Star game is so cool, because then you get to see guys that you've heard of but you've never actually seen play. Right. I remember Jacob deGrom being a name, and then he finally made his All-Star debut, and I saw him and I was like, holy bleeping bleep. Are you bleeping kidding me?
Yeah.
This guy is bleeping amazing. That's kind of like what Paul Skeens reminded me of. So that's obvious observation number one. Obvious observation number two. Shohei Ohtani is the most talented baseball player to have ever walked this earth, and probably will ever walk this earth.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that this man is not only an MVP candidate as a DH, which is ridiculous, but also he's recovering from Tommy John surgery. You know what other people that are recovering from Tommy John surgery are doing? Not hitting 30 bombs, not stealing almost 30 bags, not hitting 316.
Right.
They don't do that. Drew Rasmussen ain't doing that. Shane McClanahan ain't doing that. Jeffrey Springs did not do that.
No.
Like, it's ridiculous what this human being named Shohei Ohtani is doing, and I think we should all really just be in awe of it.
Yeah, it's funny that my wife had recently asked me, what's the deal with Shohei Ohtani? Is he really that good? And it was like a mic drop. It was like, seriously. I tried to, because she is a big Phillies fan, I was like, think about having the skill set of Bryce Harper as a hitter and Zach Wheeler as a pitcher combined into one player, except better than both of those guys. And he can do both of those things, assuming he gets his arm right and everything like that. But that's kind of what we're dealing with. And I was just like, look at his contract and see how good he is. And I tried to explain the whole thing with the numbers and how rare he is. And it went in one ear out the other. But yes, savor, enjoy, relish Shohei Ohtani, future Ray at some point. Just kidding. So yeah, no, those were key things there. I also look, with the All-Star game, you have to use it as an invitation to elevate these players' profiles and get the fan bases and casual baseball fans to get inside the mind and hear from some of these players. So I like the mic'd up thing. I like the in clubhouse interviews. Just use that opportunity to talk to these folks and get people to get to know them. And then the last thing I had to really say about the All-Star game, because I mean, I used to, when I was younger, we would tape record it and watch it start to finish. Those days are long gone now. But I noticed that there was a guy on the mound named Christopher Sanchez, and I thought, oh, that name's familiar. Yeah, that was a former Rays farmhand who was traded to the Phillies for Curtis Mead. And it's so funny how the tables have turned as of 2024, where a couple of years ago, we were saying, oh, man, we really jobbed the Phillies there. We got Curtis Mead, high-profile prospect. He's going to turn it into something special, and he may be. But right now, I think the Phillies and Sanchez have the upper hand, because now he has a couple seasons of sustained MLB success where Curtis Mead doesn't have that yet.
Yeah, and like you said, hopefully he does, and that can happen for Curtis as well. But yeah, right now it's heavily tilted on one side, and that one side is for the Phillies. So you're not going to win every trade, and this is definitely one that is not giving return on investment or return on the trade as of yet. Hopefully it does. But last thing.
Yes.
Stop. I know MLB only cares about money now, and I know they probably always have, but it seems like now it's just like a more than a fetish now. And it's like a mission statement. Stop creating crappy, and you know what word I want to say? What crappy uniforms that have no sense at all. Stop it. Just let the players use the regular uniforms. That was cool. That was what was cool about the All-Star game. A third baseman with a Rays shirt throwing it across the diamond to a Baltimore Oriole, to a New York Yankee. That's what made it cool. Stop it with the crappy uniforms. Let's go back to real uniforms. I know they're not going to do that because they want to sell crappy All-Star. You know what? If we all band together and not buy that merchandise, maybe they go back to it.
Question. I wasn't paying that close attention to the uniforms. I did notice the difference, but were there patches, advertising patches on those All-Star jerseys?
Good question. Don't know.
Because if not, that's coming. Just wait.
Yeah.
Both sleeves, All-Star game.
Yeah.
Progressive on one side, Geico on the other side. It's happening, folks. Just wait for it. All right, we have more to discuss, but first, Ulises, we have to tell the audience something very important.
Yes, we do. And that is, people, if you want to have a good buying experience, SupplyHouse is where the skilled traders go. Okay, it is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. You can get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and you can talk to a real person every time. In 2024, that is unheard of. But you know what? SupplyHouse is that kind of shop. Pros in the skilled trade can also get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free trade master program, where they get access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. And you can join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from the free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com.
Baseball season is moving right along, and you can make some cash over on Prize Picks, whether it's stolen bases, home runs, or hits. Take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry. With how well some of the Rays players are doing lately, you can turn $10 into $100 with just a few taps. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDON for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in under 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 fantasy app. So get in on the action with Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for up to $100 match on your first deposit. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels at part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. All right, let's get into a couple mailbag questions here on some fun topics. This first one comes from our buddy Cindy.
Hi, guys. Here's my question. Taylor Walls is listed as a switch hitter. Can you do the analysis to find out if he's better from either the left or the right side? And if so, do you feel that he should give up being a switch hitter and stick to that one side? Thanks.
All right, Ulises, what say you on this matter?
Well, first, Cindy, thank you for sending that in. I know it's not your first one, so thank you for always, coming to us and providing that. Yes, the first answer is yes. I do think that Taylor Walsh should quit trying to be a switch hitter. Yes. I know he's not going to. I know the Rays are not interested in him stopping, but it really just doesn't make sense with the way that he swings the bat. Like, you can actually have an okay-ish, acceptable glove first bench replacement if he were to just switch to one side. And that one side, in my opinion, would be the right side. I know it's a little bit more contact and less home runs, less pop, but I think it's a little bit more acceptable. I mean, if you're just talking career average as a righty against lefties, he hits 210. the opposite, he hits 177. So that's a big drop off. But you know what? You're not an average guy. Let's say you're an OPS guy. Well, guess what? As a righty against lefties, his OPS is 617, which, again, not lighting the world on fire, people, but as a bench replacement glove defender first,
Right.
All right, you'll take that. You'll take that. That's 617. What was really difficult to take is the 569 OPS that comes when he's facing righties as a lefty. So I feel like it's a lot to manage. 2 swings, keep them timely when you're not getting daily at bats. That's difficult to do. Right. And I wanted to find somebody who had done it, like being a switch hitter and then just like dropped it off.
Right.
Cedric Mullins, All-Star Cedric Mullins, 30-30 Cedric Mullins. He used to be a switch hitter, and 2020 was the last year that he was a switch hitter because as a righty, he was hitting 171. Okay, remember how I said Taylor Walsh was hitting 177? That's pretty similar.
Yeah.
And he was hitting 502 OPS as a righty, Cedric Mullins. 502 OPS. Remember when I said that Taylor Walsh was hitting 569 as a lefty? Yeah, that's pretty similar. So all I'm saying is you're not gaining anything with Taylor Walsh as a lefty. Maybe a matchup that you get like somebody else to come in from the bullpen, but I really just don't see him being that successful as a switcher.
So just so I'm hearing you correctly, you would like him to be exclusively a right-handed hitter?
Yes.
Okay.
I know you're going to lose some pop, but
yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think that is the move. There's just so much that you have to maintain at the major league levels in terms of consistency and mechanics and timing. And he's so focused defensively. It's just a lot of responsibility. It's something you can get away with in high school, college, lower levels of the minors. But once you're in the show, there's a reason Cedric Mullins did it. There's a reason Shane Victorino did it. And I mean, I do appreciate
the past. Nice.
Yeah. I do appreciate the novelty of it because switch hitting is becoming more rare in today's game compared to previous iterations. And I think that is just because of the specialization and how tough it is to keep up both sides. And there's also the argument that there could be increased injury concerns by being a switch hitter because of some different imbalances and strains on the body due to the different mechanics that are required on your wrist and shoulders and so forth. So I'm with you. As much as it would be cool or ideal, I should say, to have him hit exclusively from the left side to take advantage of the platoon matchup.
Yeah,
I believe he does throw right-handed. He should be a natural righty. I think if he focused all his attention on hitting from the right side of the plate, and you aren't, as I know you're facing, 72% of the pitchers are righty, but it's not that big of a deal as, if you're a lefty hitter facing a lefty pitcher. It isn't as exploited as opposed to that other side. And I don't know if that's ever going to be in the cards for him, but I think that if by his defensive asset, I think he'll be a major leaguer for an extended period of time. But I will be curious to see at some point if he just decides to drop the matter entirely and focus on that one side. So
I think it would benefit him so greatly because it's not like you're only going lefty now, like, oh, now I don't get at bats against lefties. No, you're choosing your right side, which, I mean, I feel like this is so obvious to me, this because of the discrepancy between the numbers, that there must be something that they think, that they know, that they value more than the numbers that are provided to us, because the numbers that are provided to us make this a slam dunk at blank decision. And the fact that they haven't done it means that they value something that we can't see. What is it?
Yeah, no, that's fair. And maybe it's some of it being him headstrong and he doesn't want to make that change. But if this change is going to happen, it will have to be in the offseason. This is an offseason deal that you work on through November, December, January, then you get into spring training and you continue to tinker with it and go from there. So Cindy, solid question there. And we'll see what happens on the Taylor Walls front. I will note that you would hope that this would elevate his offense in some respect, that he has only played shortstop this year. I don't believe he's played a lick of second base or third base. So only having to focus on that one position, maybe that will uplift his offensive numbers. And we have not seen that this year. I know it's only been 88 plate appearances and him coming back from injury, but we would like to see more from him on the offensive front. He is hitting the ball up the middle a little bit more, but beyond that, not much more. All right. We have another mailbag question to dive into, but first we have to tell you this: passion, drive, and patience. It is the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money is returned to you, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cashola. So with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it is easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, Ulises, getting to the final mailbag question of the day. It comes from Ed Holinsky on Twitter X Machine. He says, who might be getting a one-way ticket out of town, either by trade or DFA, in the next few weeks?
Well, Ed, thank you for the question, Polish brethren.
I did not recognize what that flag was besides or aside the American flag. So good on you for taking geography and being a world traveler, because I had nothing there. The white at the top and the red at the bottom, you got me on that one.
So Ed, I like Ed asking this question, because it's coming. It's coming soon, and whoever it is might not know 100%, but they definitely have heard it through the grapevine. And those two names, I think we all have them pretty at the top. Like if we take a poll of the two top names that could possibly not be raised in the next 3 weeks, I think Ahmed Rosario and Zach Eflin make the top two list. I don't think there's any way in hell that there's another name that gets through those two. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah. Now, it's a tough situation, because at some point we're going to have to acknowledge or be resigned to the fact that, I guess, depending on how the Rays played the next couple of weeks before the All-Star break, are they going to be competitive through the rest of the regular season into the playoffs? If you think not, if the Rays are, let me say this, unlike past years where the Rays have pretty much been in the hunt or in the driver's seat of winning the division, and they're going to make the playoffs, they also here, being 500, not really going anywhere this year, looking for 2025, 2026, you have a great opportunity to capitalize and get a haul for Zach Eflin. And it's funny, I've seen some rumors or some rumblings that, well, who wouldn't be interested in Zach Eflin? But within the division, the Orioles might be targeting him, among others. So maybe that makes the mathematics a little bit more difficult, knowing that you'd have to deal with Eflin in another uniform multiple times this year and next year. But there's always pitching, relief pitching, starting pitching needs at the trade deadline as teams try to boost their playoff rosters. And you could pretty much ask a king's ransom, I think, for Eflin, because he is controllable for next season. So yeah, I would set the price high at him. And if the Rays get what they're looking for, go ahead and make that deal. I know it would stink. It would suck for the fan base and the clubhouse as well, knowing that, hey, yeah, we're pretty much relenting this year, even though we have Drew Rasmussen and Jeffrey Springs, a couple veterans coming back, because Eflin's sort of your go-to when it comes to the playoffs. But and you wonder how much of a workload that Springs and Raz and how effective they'll be the remainder of the season. And then you sprinkle them in with all the young guys, Pepio, Bradley, Boz, and others around. But this might be the opportunity to really get a grade A prospect and maybe another piece that can contribute right away, a la Johnny DeLuca, a la a Ryan Pepio. So that would, frankly, I'm getting to the point with all this ups and downs and just middling around 500, that might be the move. Rosario, I also could see be moved sooner rather than later. The issue with Rosario is I don't think you're going to get much of anything for him. Just look back at what the Rays did in 2019, acquiring Eric Sogard. Eric Sogard was having a career year. He was having a better season than Rosario is this year. Home runs, doubles, RBIs, hitting 300, signed a minor league deal with the Blue Jays. And the Rays gave up
at the time,
the Rays gave up 2 players to be named later for him.
And at that time, wasn't Eric Sogard regarded better with the glove than what Ahmed Rosario is right now?
I believe so, yes. The versatility angle, because I think he could play infield and outfield. So it was a couple
Ahmed does too, but play well and then put a body in there. It's a little bit different. I think Sogard was even high, rated a little bit higher.
But I feel like these guys that, a David Peralta, for example, you're just not gonna get a ton. You just hope that your scouting stuff, your scouting staff has done their research and their homework and say, hey, he's a lower ranked prospect, but we might be able to turn him into something. But
I'm agreeing. The
expectation that you're going to get a big haul for Rosario. He might just be a piece that's tied to Eflin for something else, just to sweeten the pot. But he's not a big trait to dangle out for another team out there.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I think Sogard was better defensively. So then the fact that we got 2 players to be named later while having a better career year than what Rosario is doing, that should tell you that you're not really going to get a big haul for Ahmed Rosario. And I don't think you expect one. I think what you could expect is that lottery ticket, that one guy that's like low A, high A that could pop off, and then boom, you got yourself something neat. But also, most likely than not, it's going to be somebody who's just going to be an organizational filler, a body to make up the team. But yeah, I think Zach Eflin, for all the reasons that you said, is probably going to be the guy that gets moved. It's a shame, but you also, just like Savale made room for Boz.
Yeah.
Need to be
and clearing salary. They're clearing salary with Maton. They're clearing salary for with Savale. And this might be the next line to let's lower that payroll. We're not going to have a $95 million payroll in a 500 team. We're not dealing with that anymore. Yeah. So good question there from Ed. Just want to note here real quickly. Sogard, when he was acquired by the Rays, he had a 300, 363, 477 slash line with 10 home runs. In his previous 8 years, he'd only hit 11 balls out of the ballpark, 17 doubles, 2 triples, 45 runs scored, and 30 RBIs. So just wanted to note that there. All right. Thank you all for the questions and insight. We have a couple fun shows on Thursday and Friday. We'll be joined by our buddy, Evan Klosky. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.